anyone want to start?
No.
I'll go second.
Okay, I'll go first then. So basically, I decided that I wanted to talk about Pete Davidson for today's episode just because he's been in the news like a lot recently. He's been in a lot of headlines. And so personally, I enjoy Pete Davidson. I know it's like controversial, like a lot of people have different opinions on him, but I personally really do love Pete Davidson. I like his work. Mm-hmm. I like who he is. I respect him as an individual. So recently in the past week, he's been in headlines a lot. It started off with an interview with Charlemagne the God. So
love him.
Oh, I love him too. But he went on an interview with him, and in the interview, the thing that basically got most people's attention was the fact that he mentioned he was asked a lot of questions about his exes, and so he talked about Ariana Grande, obviously, and that interview specifically just got so much.
Was it her or like all of his?
All of his exes. He spoke about all of them because he was asked about all of them specifically, and then so he answered about all of them. But that interview got a lot of like publicity for the fact that he spoke about Ariana Grande, which like I guess makes sense, but it's also just like he spoke about so many other things. Yeah. Especially that interview was so packed. Like he said so many controversial things in that interview alone. Like he talked about mental health, he talked about suicide, he talked about so many things, drugs, like, and they just picked up on Ariana, which, you know, is a little bit questionable. Yeah. And then But the reason why he was even doing this interview in the first place was because he was trying to promote his special for Netflix called Alive from New York. So that's his comedy special.
Oh.
I watched it. I think it was great.
It was good.
Did you watch it?
No. I didn't even know I didn't know he was a comedian. I thought he was just an actor.
An actor?
Oh. Yeah. Well, he is an actor. He has stuff coming out soon, yeah. But, it is a good. Alive from New York was good. It wasn't my favorite. I liked SMD more, but Alive from New York, it was pretty good. Like, I recommend it. But basically, this is also in this. He had like 7 main. The way that he organizes his comedy, he has like a topic, and then he makes jokes through that topic. So within Alive from New York, he had 7 topics, and the 6th topic was Ariana Grande. So he did speak solely about Ariana Grande. He didn't talk about any of his other exes. So that did catch a lot of like publicity too. A lot of people were talking about it, which does make sense. And he did go a little bit into like their relationship, and he did say some things that I guess some people could take offense to. But personally, I didn't really see anything that was like too offensive. And he kind of the reason why he defended it, and he said that like she said a lot of things about their relationship, and she said a lot of things about him publicly that were probably more offensive. He's talked about their sexual life. She's talked about so many other things that if he felt like that if he were to talk about that, he would get a lot more like he would get heat for it basically.
Like a double standard.
Yeah, but people were just laughing when she did it. Yeah. And like she went on Vogue and she said that she doesn't know who he is and she only dated him as a distraction. So
that makes no sense. They were engaged.
Yeah. But you know, so that's what happened. So I guess my question is Pete Davidson in the wrong for making jokes about Ariana Grande? Is he using her as publicity? So I'm just gonna put that out to you guys.
I don't think so. Especially if she's doing it to, like, I don't think he's in the wrong for doing it if she's doing it, because if they see that she's not in the wrong, then how could he be in the wrong? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe they're both using each other for publicity, but I don't really know, because I don't really know too much about it, except for, like, what you just said. Because I feel like Ariana hasn't been in, like, the news lately that much. So, I don't know. That's my take on it.
That's a good point. She hasn't.
Yeah.
But also, I think that if, I agree with you, if they're not shaming her, then they shouldn't shame him either. But, I mean, if they're calling him, like, a bad person for it, then they should also be calling her a bad person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that. But, yeah.
They could also just not shame each other, like, talk bad about each other.
Yeah. Like, you guys were in a relationship once. It happened.
It wasn't,
get over it.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, well, the stuff that he was saying wasn't really, like, bad. He would just be making certain jokes about it. He made jokes about the situation, I guess. Mm-hmm. Like, the stuff that she would talk about, he just started making jokes about it. So, I don't know. He was just pointing out that it was unfair. Yeah. And I guess, like, the other thing I wanted to ask, is it fair that people are, like, the publicity that's coming from both of these things is only about, like, not only, but, like, a majority of the publicity he's getting is just because of the fact that he's mentioning Ariana Grande and not about the other stuff that he's talking about within the interviews? because like I said, like in the interview, he talked about also like mental health. He talked about drugs. He talked about stuff that he struggled with in his life. He talked about his dad. He talked about his family. And then in the in like his special, he had 7 whole topics, and Ariana was just one of them. But there were so many other things, and he talked about like Dan Crenshaw was one of them. Like that was very controversial for him. So it was like, is that fair in that sense?
Repeat it.
Like, is it fair that the only thing that's getting publicity is Ariana Grande from both of his?
I don't think it
I don't
is.
think so.
Because I mean, obviously, if he's talking about other stuff, they're important things.
Yeah,
and things
more
that,
important than her. No offense.
and things that like people felt it was necessary for them to ask him, and if that's like not getting any attention, and if like those points weren't being made, and they're just only focusing on Ariana, then that's like kind of whack.
Because like suicide, drugs, like all that is like, you know, pretty serious, and all they got was Pete Davidson talking about Ariana Grande.
Yeah, a lot of the headlines were Pete Davidson attacks Ariana Grande and like
So
blah, blah, blah.
annoying.
Yeah, I guess, but like, I don't know. That's just the way it is. So I guess that was the Pete Davidson special. So
we'll see what happens with that whole thing.
Yeah.
If anything else will happen, I don't know. Okay.
I don't know. We'll see. But he doesn't even have social media to like defend himself. So this is how he defends himself through comedy.
Yeah.
So that's where his opinions come out. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
Okay. So mine for this week is The Bachelor, as many of you may or may not watch. With Pete the pilot. Wait, no, Pilot Pete. Sorry. Sorry. Oh my God, they're both Pete. Sorry.
Love that.
So I'm just gonna talk about last week really quick, just because.
Spoiler alert! If you haven't watched.
Yeah,
last
if you
week's
didn't watch
episode.
last week's episode, stop watching right now, or skip it. No, don't stop watching it. Just skip it. Skip it. I didn't watch yesterday's episode. Otherwise, No, actually, all right. Okay. Anyway, so last week was Fantasy Suites on The Bachelor.
What does that mean?
So it's when they spend the night together.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, one of the girls, Madison, was basically like, to Peter, like, if you, like, you know, hang out with any of these girls, then I can't be with you. I don't see myself I don't see us like moving on from this relationship. If you like, you know what you get what I'm saying?
I
Not
get
really
what you mean.
saying it, like, just because I know. Yeah. So then basically at the end of the episode last week, she ended up walking away from him, and that's how it ended. And so now everyone's like, the rose ceremony, everyone's like, where's Madison? Is Madison coming? So I guess, is it fair? My question is it fair for her to be like, well, you can't be with any other girls? If that's, like, a part of the show, like, every Bachelor and Bachelorette, like, goes through. I don't know.
Okay,
It's not. It's like, that's what the show is. It's called The Bachelor for a reason.
Right.
Okay, but like, okay, if we take out The Bachelor from this.
But we can't.
Okay, yeah, I know. But first, I don't know. I guess like just what I want to say is just in general, The Bachelor. It's a very confusing thing for me to understand.
Really?
I would never be on something like that. So I just wouldn't get it. So my opinion is extremely biased. But
Yeah.
I guess like since that is what The Bachelor is, then it's kind of
She
like
can't be
you know what
Yeah.
you're signing up for when you sign up for it.
Especially, like, after, like, she stayed for, like, because they had hometowns before, and then she was the final, 3, so she knows what's coming.
Oh, so this is like the final.
Yeah. So,
Oh,
like,
okay.
yeah.
I mean, if she was able to deal with it for like most of the season, can't she just like wait a little longer?
Exactly. Or
Yeah.
at least she should have at least said something to him, like, before, like, earlier on. I feel, I don't know. I
That's
really,
funny.
Yeah.
No, I agree with what Danielle said. Like, you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Like, you know what The Bachelor is. You know what The Bachelor's about. Like, you shouldn't
Like,
be.
come on now.
Yeah, and you
Like-
know, like, your values and your morals. So why are you waiting until the last week? Yeah, it's like the second to last week before telling him that. Like, that's so selfish.
Yeah, she could have left earlier.
Exactly.
How
I
much
had
you want to
another girl
bet?
in
I don't know
there.
how The Bachelor works or anything, but
Yeah.
I could tell you that she's probably gonna be the one that goes out.
You
I
think
could tell you
so?
that. I think so.
Didn't she already leave though?
She left?
Well, he didn't send her home, but she's not at the rose ceremony, or at least from what I saw from the previous last week. Again, I didn't watch it this week, but I kind of spoiled who got sent home, and I can't say it right now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, by accident, because I was looking at Women Tell All, and, like, that's what they have, like, their little reunion special.
Oh, okay.
And I was looking at the pictures, and then I found out who got sent home. So I'm very upset.
Oh, okay.
So, Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
So that's my topic. It wasn't as interesting
I would be
as that.
I would be shocked if she were to stay up until the finale.
I would be shocked if she were to stay and if he chose her.
Exactly.
But I would also be shocked if she were to choose him after telling him that.
Exactly. And I feel like she just gave him like it's kind of like an ultimatum, I feel like. It's like, choose me or I'm not going to be with you.
Yeah, that's like not fair.
But, but if you take The Bachelor out of it, then, she has a point.
Well, yeah.
But
yeah.
if you keep The Bachelor in it.
Well, yeah, because if it wasn't The Bachelor, then he'd just be cheating.
Yeah. I find The Bachelor so interesting.
It's so boring sometimes, but then it's worth it.
That one where that girl...
There was one. I only watched one season of The Bachelor, and it was the one that was on Netflix. And I at first
one of the older ones.
I don't remember what it was. I forgot. I think his name was Jason. I don't know.
I didn't watch it.
I don't know. I don't know.
You just watched it.
Yeah, I did watch it. Because it was like one night. I didn't have anything to watch. I didn't have anything to do, so I just started watching it. And then there was I just liked some of the people's personalities.
Yeah.
So then I was like, I just want to see what happens. So that's the only one that I watched. But yeah, that one was a fun. That was the one where he ends up with someone. He proposes to someone, but then he changes his mind.
I heard about that.
Yeah,
and a couple other
that one
bachelors.
sucked.
The Bachelorettes don't do that, but the Bachelors do that. A lot of them do that all the time.
Isn't that interesting?
That's so wild.
It's what the heck?
The Bachelorettes. I mean, because women have better
I know.
Intuition.
They do.
That's what we have.
They do.
We need to get a man on this show so that we could just be like...
You suck. Oh, I'm
Listen,
joking.
we have better intuition than you. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we need to get their
So,
opinion.
do you... I don't know. It's an intuition question.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I was going to make a joke, but then I just blanked, so I couldn't think of it. Okay.
When you said that, I thought of institution. I thought you said, what's an institution question? I was like, what the heck does that even mean?
Okay.